Hello everyone, and welcome to a lumber tutorial for Top 20. I'm going to show you everything that I can about lumber in under 20 minutes. This includes counterpoints, what you need to know about how circles come rotating in, drop points, everything from like where the contracts spawn, where the buy stations are, and where crates are in specific locations, dom points, all of that. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. You'll notice that I dropped on this yellow house first thing. That's because this is pretty much the best place to be. Even if there are contracts elsewhere, you really don't want to focus on those, because if anyone else notices them, they'll be going for them really hard. And if it's on the warehouse or something like that, it's going to be very, very hard to counter them, and I'll get into that a little more later. This house often has a contract, like a bounty or something like that, and it's nice to pick that up. And even if I'm in duos or something, I can just come in here, have my friend come too, and we'll sweep the building, pick up a couple guns, and be on our way, smashing through windows and clearing out these houses. You want to clear these houses as fast as you can, so that way you can pick up all the good loot and counter anyone that's in them. They won't be expecting you to go so fast, which is really nice. A cool little tip about Yellow House that many people don't know, and that will catch many people off guard, is that not only does it have sightlines to every part of lumber in all four directions, if you smash this window, or better yet smash this one, you can jump to here, and let's say you're getting hunted by a bounty, it's a great counterpoint, or if you know someone's in the house with you, you can just shoot them as they're coming up the stairs. You can even make footsteps on that little platform right there, and they will think that you're inside, so they'll try to push up. It's really nice. Now, in here is going to be this little vertical area right here. Because you can jump on this roof, it's very easy to jump from house to house, even on the second level, so rushing people is very easy with flanks. Be aware of this when you and your team are hunting your bounties. Bounties are, by the way, the most common contract that you'll find. So picking them up is nice, especially if you have someone nearby. The only issue is if there isn't someone nearby, which is not uncommon, then it'll kind of waste your contract and you can't start another. So moving along, we have these two houses. This yellow house isn't useful for much besides its top floor, because that window right there can see across the entire street, which is okay. People don't usually cross it though, except in the very beginning. But this window right here is a great counter to the top of white. Now, the reason that this building is important, and I guess I'd call it like the armory or the bank or something like that, because while there's an ammo supply in it, there's this top section over here. This, by the way, will only ever spawn with at most 2 crates, but it's almost always 1, if that. So you often want to come up to the roof, and whenever you're hunting a bounty, bounties really like to come up here, and they like to hold it down like this, so that way they're aimed like right over there. They'll see when you're coming, and then they can hit anyone on the ladder. It is really annoying, and you need to play it right. So here's what you do. Have someone challenge this guy on the roof from very far away. I'm talking like over there by yellow, in this white house, even in this yellow house right here. Preferably though, you're gonna have them farther away. Then, while they're focused on this person, or your teammate or whatever, you will sneak up to the bottom, get up the ladder, and charge them ASAP. It's really nice because that way they won't be expecting it, and you can't really challenge it any other way, which is the issue. By the way, don't run away from it, because if you run away like this, they'll have a really good angle to shoot. This gas station, I highly recommend not going to, because it spawns with shit like this. Bit of ammo, and like one thing, which doesn't, it's not even always a weapon. There's also this little shack, which can sometimes spawn with a crate. You've seen them around the map before. This truck will always be here. No matter what, you will always see this truck. It doesn't matter how many other vehicles are around or anything like that. So, let's move in to actual lumber. There's a couple smaller buildings like this one and this one, but you don't really have to worry about those. They're not even worth looting. Also be aware, for whatever reason, you can't jump into this. I don't know why they made it like that. Like, even if the window's broken, you can't jump into it. So be aware of that. This mid-section area will often have a loadout. So if you stay here long enough and the first circle closes, the loadout can spawn like right there. Sometimes it'll spawn further away because of where it has to be in between teams, but if you have another team in Lumber, it'll spawn right there. So this warehouse will usually have a couple crates in it as well, especially in this back area right here. This front one will have like one maybe. The Dom point can also spawn here, and something I failed to mention before, in that barn house right there is where another Dom point can be. Moving up to the big warehouses, I really don't recommend dropping here because a lot of teams do, and if there's ever someone below you or above you, it really restricts your movement because the second you start moving a lot, then they'll know exactly where you are and they can easily push you. What I'd recommend is doing exactly what I just did, and when you know there's a team in here, have someone climb up top and work their way all the way around, and then sweep back through. This makes for very effective flanks, and you can even hop down right here. You can actually go onto the bridge, mainly from this ledge, but you can do that. And by the way, this warehouse right here often spawns with a couple crates and is really underrated. Definitely land here. This is one of the only warehouses I'd recommend landing on because you can actually still get some good loot, and the people in here will not be expecting you coming from this angle. So let's move to the buy station area, which is right here. The buy station will spawn right about here, but it's very rare. I would say maybe one in every 7 or so games it's going to spawn here. I know it's kind of a weird number, but you won't get it that often. It's also in a very exposed area, so if you ever hear people buying things over here, it's actually a good idea to rush them because you can often take them out. But be aware that when you're over here, you need to be quick about buying your stuff. Unless you know that lumber is safe and that you have dropped here without any other friends or very minimal contact, get over here, get your stuff, and go. This warehouse can spawn with a couple crates as well, and for reference, all the other houses can spawn with a couple crates. I think a maximum of 4, but you guys know those houses well enough. It's why I'm kind of just mentioning it on the side. You can also get up here like this if you need to get this crate, and you can go on the roof. This is a very good counterpoint to anyone who's taking on warehouse. They don't often know that this is a thing or expect you to be up here. In terms of recon, I think there can be one in this building. I know there can be one in this smaller warehouse, and in the big warehouse there are 2 locations, one over there, one over there. So going into this smaller one, there is this ledge over here, but for some reason on the other side it's not shared. You can also, it's like they took the one from the side and put it right here. So you can do this to climb up to the 2nd floor. And you can also, there's a way you can finagle yourself up top, but no one really goes up there unless they drop there. So obviously there's a down point down here, and you're going to want to weave your way in and around this area. This place is actually good to drop on if you don't see any other teams drop on it. It can be pretty good just because of the fact that the loot in here isn't bad. There's usually a couple crates. If you have a squad, you can all get suited up, and then you can quickly make your way over to the buy station through this warehouse. Mid is kind of weird. So it's actually very protected. And so if you're ever making your way through it, it's actually pretty safe unless someone is on top of like that silo right there or on the warehouse. But they have to have a really good angle over you, otherwise you're able to like weave in and out. Next, let's go to these back houses. I actually had a bit of luck dropping back here sometimes because no one ever does, or if they do, they're very easy to flush out, and they only do when there's contracts. This barn house right here, you can actually jump up here, sweep through, get a couple of these little extra things. And once you actually collect all the stuff, you'll still be kind of not as equipped when compared to the people who dropped further inwards, but people won't be expecting you from this angle, and you also are closer to the buy station. There's this little trio of houses right here, which can be pretty nice. And I think there is a dawn point that can spawn in that barn house back there. Not that yellow one. Don't ever go this warehouse. It's really bad. There's like nothing ever in it, like one crate at most. 2 if you count the one up there, but to even access it you need a vehicle, which will often spawn back there. So I would say just don't go over there. This gully is very easy to get stuck in. You can climb out, but it takes a bit of like jumping around and mashing the jump button. So I would recommend just taking the bridge or going over there. Alright, so those are the big things I wanted to talk about. Now let's talk about some smaller notes. Number 1, vehicles. The vehicle, I already pointed one out over there. The truck that's right here will always be there. There are obviously going to be some other ones scattered around. This tactical rover is commonly here. So if you ever pressed for gas, this rover is good to go for. The gas also is something that we really need to talk about, because the main problem with lumber is, as you can see, obviously it's on the edge of the circle. I don't know why, but the circle never really seems to want to come around lumber. I always was struggling that I had with moving out. Even if it was in the first circle, it would never be in the second circle. So just be aware of that. If on the off chance that lumber is in this like second or third circle, you don't want to hold a warehouse position unless you know that you're alone and that you can hold, like, you know where everyone's coming from. Like, let's say the circle ends right where I am. Then you can hold out from people trying to push in. Buy stations are also around. Bridge will always have one here and one here. Not both, but like one of these will always be here. And farmland will have one here. It can have one here, one in the field, one around here, and then there's one right here, and there can be one right over there. So you want to rotate out pretty quickly, and that's kind of one of the bad things about lumber. Is now that we're getting into the end of the video, I'm going to kind of go over what the final verdict I had for lumber is. After dropping here probably over easily 50 times, lumber is a place that's really good to drop to start out. Pick up a couple kills, get some goodish gear. If the buy station is here, you can get fully equipped, but because of the fact that it's not, you might as well just get out of there as soon as you can. You want to rotate to one of the other buy stations, because the sad part is that you'll often be pressed into stadium by the gas, or at least another area. So that's gonna be what I think you should do in lumber. Go there, get some cash, get some loot, pick up a couple kills, and just get out. There's no reason to stick around. There's nothing special. The returns are very diminishing once you get past a certain point, and it's really just not worth it. But if you want a place to drop that's going to be not that populated, and you can get some easy quick loot, lumber is the place to go. Especially if you have a weird circle, lumber can be very, very effective. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next Top in 20.